Hey guys, this is Pooka back with another game I played on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. This time around, I'm going to be using my Hammertime deck. It's just straight Darkrai, Sableye, Crushing Hammer. No other Pokemon, just Night Spear and Junk Hunt all the way. Against Henry C, who is playing an Empoleon Accelgor deck. Now this is a deck that has gained a bit of popularity a few weeks into Battle Roads. Basically, the idea behind the deck is that you want to be using Accelgor. You want to be able to deck and cover and constantly paralyze your opponent. And now that Junk Arm is gone from the format, people don't have as many switches to play with. In fact, some people don't even play Switch. For example, the deck I'm using right now does not have any copies of Switch. The only problem with Accelgor is that it takes so long to really get it set up to the point where you can do it every turn. I mean, the problem is that, sure, you can deck and cover, paralyze your opponent every turn, but you might just not draw the right cards the next turn. You have to shuffle in Accelgor, the Shelmet, and the double colorless every turn, which means you're going to have to draw another double colorless the next turn. This is where the Empoleon comes in. When he uses Empoleon's diving draw, you discard a card from your hand and you draw 2 cards. Now this is good for 2 reasons. Number 1, obviously you draw 2 cards. That's going to help you with your deck and covers. But number 2, you're going to discard a useless card that you don't want to draw back. So eventually you discard all of the junk cards from your deck, and you draw all the good ones. So the theory is that you will draw all of your good cards eventually, and discard all the bad ones, and all that's going to be left is the ones you want to draw. So you should be able to use deck and cover every single turn. So as the straight Darkrai deck with no switches here, I of course am a little weary of this matchup. I know this can be very troublesome, and I'm probably going to be in a lot of trouble if he ever gets set up. It's just how it's gonna work out. I mean, it was kind of like the Chandelure Vileplume Accelgor deck from last format, where once that thing got set up, you were just done for. If they got set up quickly enough, you were not going to win, period. Now, number 1 thing going well for me is he had to use a double colorless on his Emolga. That's not going to be in his deck for later. You cannot recover those. He had to use that to use Call for Family, so he's already down 1 double colorless. This is something I have to look out for. If I can't attack every turn, basically I have to be on the lookout for, alright, how then can I take advantage, maybe exploit some situations where he just doesn't have enough energy, or he runs out of resources somehow. Double colorless is one of them. You know, if he has to, like, Juniper one away at some point, that could be a big deal. And as you can see, I max potioned my Sableye there. I would like to save those max potions, but I think that was a good play because otherwise it would have been knocked out by poison. So I played that max potion to avoid me getting knocked out by poison going back into his turn, which would be devastating. Now, I did get an Eviolite on my Darkrai as well, which is a really big deal. Because, I mean, it makes it so that he has to use more deck and covers to knock me out. So my main concern here is going to be, alright, how many switches does he play? Because there are still some loopholes you can exploit in the Empoleon Accelgor deck that some people might not realize. So this is going to be a very complicated game. I think most players, when they play against this Empoleon Accelgor deck, are like, ugh, he's just using deck and cover every turn. How do I ever get out of this? How can I possibly deal with this? And the truth is, you have to be kind of smart and tricky to deal with it. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to end up losing. So here, my number 1 thing is, alright, how can I prevent him from using deck and cover every turn? Is that possible? And my first idea is going to be, alright, I should just catch her out Empoleon every turn, as often as I can, and maybe he'll run out of switches. Because he needs to attach a double colorless every turn to Accelgor to use deck and cover. And Empoleon has a 2 retreat cost, so if he cannot retreat, well, he has to split up his energy attachment somewhere. He either has to attach to the Empoleon to attack or retreat, or attach to the benched Accelgor, in which case it just gets discarded by Crushing Hammer. And as you can see there, I did play a Crushing Hammer. I don't actually know why. I think I'm just kind of getting rid of cards. And yeah, I guess I'm playing a Juniper here. I don't know if I should or not, but I was going for a catcher. And as you can see, I did not draw a catcher. In fact, I drew a whole lot of junk. And yeah, that's no good. So all I'm going to do is Night Spear. I don't know if I should have played that Juniper there. I definitely, looking back, I don't think it was the right thing to do. If I had drawn a catcher, I probably would have gone for Empoleon and just try to get it up there. Now, the trick is, if I can ever get that Empoleon up there and keep it there, I'm going to be able to knock it out. And if you can knock out Empoleon, you take away the diving draw, and then you can end your opponent down to like 1 or 2 cards, and if they don't have any draw power, eventually they'll whiff the deck and cover. They'll keep shuffling in Accelgor and Shelmet, and they'll draw those instead of double colorless, and you can win that way. So that's something I have to look out for here. And I saw he had to burn 1 switch that turn. That is big. And here I draw my catcher, so this is going to be a big turn for me. I play a Dark Patch, put that on Darkrai. I might want to save that for my Sableye, because I might need to use Junk Hunt at some point just to get back catchers and stuff. And let's see, I have a max potion in hand, but I don't think I want to use that quite yet. And you can see I'm furiously trying to click my opponent's discard pile there, but it will not let me. Sometimes the game bugs out and doesn't let you look at someone's discard pile. Sometimes it's mine, sometimes it's my opponent's, so this is very annoying. I'm trying to check how many switches has he used. And, I mean, I want to keep track of that sort of thing. If he runs out, then I can just take advantage that way. But if he hasn't, then I don't know. I decided to hold on to the catcher that turn. I'm not too sure why. I probably should have used that on Empoleon to drag that out there. But this game was actually a learning process for me as well, since I haven't had much experience with the Accelgor Empoleon deck. I actually don't really know how it functions very well. It's not a very popular deck, so I'm just kind of playing it by ear as well. And at this point, my Darkrai has 160 damage on it, so it's 20 away from being knocked out. Fortunate that deck and cover every turn does not end up with me being knocked out at the end of my turn. And it looks like I'm just going to pass. I could have catchered once again, but I'm starting to realize as well, okay, it's actually pretty tough for him to keep getting Shelmets back into play. And he gets another one down, but if he's using deck and cover every turn, then he's going to have to, shuffle an Accelgor in, and then I can get a turn where I knock out his only Shelmet in play, and I'll get the advantage that way. But he is very clever. He just leaves the Emolga active, meaning, okay, now he doesn't have to worry about it, and I'll get knocked out by poison. So very smart play by my opponent by not really attacking with anything, just letting poison finish me off. It's very smart. And now I'm going to start the catcher barrage on Empoleon. I saved the Dark Patch just in case. I might need to Dark Patch on to Sableye at some point. And we can see here, I have figured out that, okay, if I target down Empoleon and take away his draw power, that's going to be my best way to win. I've wasted a couple ends already, but I can still have one big one at the end. And just look at how gigantic my opponent's hand is. It's like 12 cards or something like that. And if I can take this Empoleon out of play, and then knock out the Piplup as well, it'll be huge. But my opponent actually max potions off the active, and looks like he's just going to go ahead and catch out my Sableye as well, and attack command for the knockout. Now that's kind of annoying, I lose my Sableye, but it doesn't do anything in the real grand scheme of things here. Go for a Crushing Hammer and fail that one. Would have been nice to discard the water off his Empoleon, but I mean, I'm perfectly fine with him attacking me with Empoleon. It doesn't allow him to retreat because it has a 2 retreat cost. So he needs to attach 1 more energy to retreat. If he just sits there and attacks me, he loses his draw power. And that's exactly what I wanted in the first place. So if you can take out the Empoleon, you take out the major part of their deck, the draw power, their ability to use deck and cover every turn. So this is the problem number 1 with the Empoleon Accelgor deck. Even though you could deck and cover every turn, if your Empoleons get knocked out, you're not going to do it. You're going to run out of steam. And this is something my opponent is realizing here. Shuffles in a Piplup and 2 waters. He's going to communication, probably get another Piplup here, yes. And he realizes, oh, if I can't use Diving Draw, then what do I have? I have a lot of cards in my deck that I'm probably going to draw instead of the double colorless that I need, which is no good. And at this point, I'm like, alright, I'm down a prize. I'm going to get hit by attack command, which is actually only going to do 50 damage, but I'm going to get hit by attack command like I did right there. But then what? It's going to be really tough for my opponent to use deck and cover every turn. That's just the reality of the situation, and I could catch her out something, but you know what? I would rather just knock out the Empoleon, hit Piplup for 30, and we'll go from there. I'll take another prize, even if he uses deck and cover this turn. If he rare candies into Empoleon like he does right here, I can just catch her out, try to buy some time. Another big thing is I have Max Potion in my hand, I can buy some time. Even though he can deck and cover, I can probably take 2 hits before I have to use a Max Potion because of the Eviolite. And my opponent actually plays an N here, which actually might end up impacting the way this game plays out. But the fortunate thing for me is, well, number 1, I draw a catcher. Number 2 is that he has 3 prizes left. I can afford to lose a Darkrai. Not a big deal. So here, I have 90 damage on the active. In order to get knocked out, let's see, he would need to do 70 next turn. So I could just catch her out this Empoleon and try to buy a turn here, or I could just pass. Either one works. We're in the situation again where he only has 1 Accelgor in play. So maybe I could play the catcher to get him in a position where like he has to deck and cover and leave himself with only 1 Accelgor in play. But it looks like he'll get another deck and cover this turn. And it's starting to get scary at this point, to be honest. I'm probably going to lose this Darkrai. There's not really a way around it. I'm going to get hit again for 30 and poison. I'm going to get knocked out. But still my strategy is going to be, alright, I need to catch her out Empoleon. Keep it up there. Eventually he'll run out of switches and stuff. And I can take the Empoleon out of play. And I can win. So I get a Crushing Hammer. That's going to be a big card, actually. Oh, I get a Heads. Discard the water off of Empoleon. So now, in order to get a knockout, he's going to need another water energy, which is an attachment he probably doesn't want to make. And he's also going to need, well, either a water or a switch, Accelgor, double colorless. And he's discarded a lot of water energy at this point. So this actually could buy me a turn. Believe it or not. Even though he gets to draw 2 cards, it could buy me a turn. I don't know how many switches he has left. He gets 2 more Accelgors into play and another Piplup. He has to be running low on switches at this point, though. There's not too many cards left in his deck. And even if he does draw a switch, if I get another catcher here, I could be okay. And I might be able to win just by kind of bringing Empoleon active and leaving it there. And he actually attaches to the benched Accelgor and passes. So there's no switch in his hand, apparently. I am good with that. I'm just going to retreat because it's heavily damaged Darkrai on the bench. I'm going to Ultra Ball away to Sableye just in case he plays an N or something like that. And also to thin out my deck by a card. Sableye is not going to be worthwhile anymore. And I'm going to take a look and see, alright, yeah, I do have a lot of Junipers left. So there's a good chance I can draw something here. I also have an N left in my deck. So things are looking up. I do not have anything in my hand, unfortunately. I wasn't able to attack But, you know, I have some time. And my opponent, he's really the one who's got to do something. And I do draw a random receiver finally. I believe that's the first one I've played this game. Maybe not, but I get a Juniper from that. Might as well bench this Darkrai. No real downside to that. And I'll get a fresh hand of 7. There's an enhanced hammer. Now that's going to be a big card, because it's going to discard the double colorless. Now there's only 2 left for my opponent in play. He had to use the first one on Emolga to call for family. So that's another kind of bad part about an Accelgor deck. You might have to discard some double colorless here and there with Ultra Ball and Juniper, or just attaching to a Pokemon to maybe retreat, or even use a Molga. So there's all sorts of little things that can go wrong with this Accelgor deck. And you need, if you're playing against it, you need to realize what they are. You need to understand that, alright, sometimes my opponent won't have this. I could potentially make him run out of resources. And here he's going to catcher up my Darkrai that's heavily damaged and just go for the attack command and knock it out. He's going to go down to 1 prize. But I am fortunate enough to top deck my end there. And from here, I think I'm in a very good position to win. I can end him to 1. He's only got, well, he's got 4 in hand and looks like 3 in his deck. So there's 2 double colorless left. He's going to have to draw a double colorless off of his 1 card. I'm going to knock out his Empoleon and his Piplup, take away all of his diving draw opportunities, and even if he gets deck and cover once, or even twice, I think I can survive even 3 deck and covers. Eventually his deck is going to be so loaded with cards that are not double colorless that he's not going to be able to draw one. And I should be able to win. So this turn I am just going to be content with, I'm probably going to play the Crushing Hammer and then the N, put him down to 1 card, and pretty much put him on a clock. Well, not even a clock, it's just, he has to draw a double colorless until I lose, or else I'm just going to Night Spear for the win. So here we go. There's a Night Spear. I'm going to knock out Empoleon and Piplup. And basically my opponent has to draw double colorless for 4 turns in a row, and I'll end up winning. He had a pretty nice start. I didn't Night Spear for quite a while. And, I mean, this has got to be some of the best starts, or like the best setup my opponent could have hoped for this game. And you can still see, I'm doing nothing but using Darkrai. And this is still a really close match. And if my opponent misses a double colorless at any point, I win the game. And he hasn't played a double colorless. It looks like I should just be able to Night Spear this turn for the win. And just like that, we defeated this scary Empoleon Accelgor deck. So you can see, even though a deck looks extremely scary, I'm getting paralyzed every turn and I don't even play Switch in my deck, you can still exploit some things. You can exploit the fact that there's a 2-retreat Empoleon sitting on the bench, and my opponent needs the Empoleon in the first place to use Diving Draw, to draw through his deck. If he doesn't have that available, he's gonna whiff on the deck and cover. So these are just all things to keep in mind. Even though you're getting locked down, always remember that things aren't always perfect for your opponent either. You can work around these things sometimes, and there are loopholes, or just like holes in your opponent's strategy that are always there to exploit. And all you have to do is find them. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes they just win anyway, but a lot of the time you can find a way out, and that's what happened here. So thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this match. I am Pooka, and I will see you guys next time.